All right, so this recording, I wanted to talk more about an idea that I've been having from my intuition and my guidance lately about splitting realities and what that means for each and every one of us.
Mm-hmm. I remember us talking about this a little bit, and not on a recording, but you said you got the image of a firework.
Yes, so when a firework initially explodes, there are many different directions where each of the individual pieces go. And if you can imagine each one of us in vibration being one of those pieces scattering off. The initial explosion was the concept of about 2012, where some big shift was supposed to happen. You know, we had the Mayan calendar ended on the 2012, or, you know, all these different reflections and ideas of some big shift is going to happen. And then, 2013 comes along and it didn't seem like much happened. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, life goes on. That must have been another apocalyptic event, forecasted date that didn't actually come. And, people had their own ideas about what that was. But what I was guided it was the idea that each and every person is starting to split into their own bubble reality experience, more so than the idea of what was accepted as the status quo. Mm-hmm. So the consensus-based reality, how things should be, how things should work, how you should be and how you should work. These ideas were, up until about 2012, the end of 2012, were the accepted standard. You go to work for 8 hours a day, you come home, your government is good or it's not, and that's just the way it was. But now, we're a few years into this shift. It's 2018, almost 2019 at the time of this recording, and things are being a little more unstable. People put their attention on the way it was and how that used to be so stable, and now it's not so stable anymore. What is shifting? What is changing? And my guidance has often referred to this idea of a firework, where everybody's starting to split off from the consensus of how it was to their own vibrational realities of what is. And how that looks like for each individual person is wherever you place your intentions and your attention or your expectation on various different ideas, whether they're conscious or unconscious to you, wherever you're placing your attention on these three components is where you're splitting off toward. And so you're seeing a lot of people go into a lot of reaction and fear about, not that one was better than the other, but the idea of Trump or Hillary, or the idea of this or that, and separation, and this ideology and that ideology. These are different splittings that are occurring, and it's getting more and more pronounced in our societies, no matter where you live. We live in the United States, so we see very clearly the politics here. And, since we were the dominant aspect for quite a few years, I don't think that's the case anymore, but a lot of the world is still observing the USA and the political structure there. It's very apparent that the USA has its own polarity is starting to play out. And so there's a lot of different moving parts to this.
Mm-hmm. I really, really like how you brought it to the intention, attention, and expectation.
Yeah, so let's bring it back to that then. Each person has their own intentions with what they want to have happen in their reality. Mm-hmm. They have their attention on where they're placing that attention of where they want that to go, whether that's conscious or unconscious. You can hold an attention point on something you would love to have happen, or you can hold just as much attention, but try not to look at it, on to the things that you fear.
Yeah, so I like that part where, you say that it is conscious or unconscious, because I feel like the point of clearing, and probably a lot of us have been clearing for many years at this point, because there have been a lot of beliefs perpetuated in the old way,
right,
in the polarity way, and we've picked up a lot of beliefs and expectations that we create out of these beliefs about how things go, and then that's where our attention is unconsciously. And so the point of the clearing was to get rid of the beliefs, of the polarity, of the labels, of all of this stuff, so that way we can choose where our attention and our focus will be. That way we can choose an intention from there, from that point of neutrality, of clarity, and let go of the expectations, so that way a new reality can be reflected back to us because we are new.
Absolutely. And the best way to liken this idea is to imagine physical reality no different than a dream. And what happens when you place your attention in the dream on something you fear? It begins to be brought to life in the dream. It begins to be brought toward you. You might manifest a beautiful dream, and then the moment your thoughts start going towards something more nightmarish, you begin to manifest that nightmare in the dream. Physical reality is no different in that respect. It takes a little longer because things are more solid seeming. It takes a little more time. But as this shift progresses, the more and more attention you place on these more nightmarish thoughts, the more they will be brought to your specific reality. And the same is true in the other direction, where if you place your attention on how you've cleared yourself, how you are choosing to maintain yourself and your energy, you will begin to manifest more and more of what you prefer to manifest consciously, rather than what you don't prefer unconsciously.
Right. And none of this is to be used as an escape from a current reality. And that's something that we learned actually when we were first thinking about moving locations. And it was funny because when we first decided to move, it was to escape something, a reality we didn't prefer.
Right.
But a lot of that came up to be cleared as well about that reality. And it got to a point where it didn't matter if we moved or not. And then we moved.
Yes. The tactic to avoid is something that a lot of people will try to use. So they'll move to a different location, and then they'll find that maybe the people have changed, maybe the job has changed,
the same.
but then the situation comes up exactly the same, or it's like a mirrored reflection again of something else taking place.
Right, and that's okay because you could just use that to clear and learn as well.
Right, there's nothing wrong there.
Right, no matter how many times it happens, you can always grow from it. And I feel like once you do choose to grow, you learn, you open up the door for something new.
Yeah. It was a funny thing in one of my interactions with Yeshua in a dream. Toward the end of the dream, he turns around and looks at me and he goes, "View the world as it is, not as it should be." And then I woke up. And so I took that quote. I didn't really understand it at the time. It was like, well, why not? Why not? Why shouldn't I put my attention on how things should be? And now I understand more of what that meant. It means the situations, everything in your life is a reflection. Everything. So the people you're interacting with, the situations you come across, everything is a reality of a reflection of you. Now, it might not be in any way conscious to you why that person is showing up, and you might say, well, I don't prefer that person in my reality. But the idea of it is to simply realize that you're co-creating that experience for a reason. It might be more for them than it is for you. It might be for an idea in an abstract way. But to get really down to the bottom of the belief systems about what is happening, if you're placing your attention on a fear, if you're placing your intention to get away from, you're actually putting your focus again on the fear and on the avoidance. So you're creating more of the same of those vibrations by putting your attention there. So really it is about focusing on what is. What is happening right now in my reality? Take a breath, enjoy your body, be here, be present, realize this is a reflection for you in some capacity, and then begin to shift your attention point in how does this serve me rather than how does this make me feel bad? And that's how you begin to shift your reality in an upward trajectory, just like that firework going up.
Yeah. Thank you. I think this is a good stopping point.
Definitely. All right.